That's one of the biggest struggles I've ever faced. And the shiny object syndrome is basically me wanting, or actually trying, a bunch of different things all the time, but without finishing the previous thing. Somewhere in maybe second, third month of my freelancing, I was feeling overwhelmed. And I wake up and I log into my LinkedIn. It's 10 a.m., my regular routine, and I start engaging and I scroll through my feed. I engage with all the creators on my engagement list before my post comes out. And I realize that it's just so damn draining and discouraging. And I start wondering, why is it? I crack on, I publish my post, I continue engaging, close my laptop, go about my day. Same thing. Next day, day after, week after. It went on for quite a few months, and I realized that that has been lingering for ages. And what was the issue is that I keep reading the content from all the wonderful, smart people on LinkedIn, and I keep saving a bunch of different posts on a strategy or a template or a new framework and yada yada yada, and they're all great. I save them, I don't follow up on half of them, they're just saved, I never touch them. I start the other half and I never finish them. And I end up feeling like I'm a failure, or I'm not doing enough, or I should be doing something, but I'm not sure what. And it's just out there. I try to do too much. And that's why I call it the shiny object syndrome, because you see a shiny strategy, a brand new course, a brand new ebook, or a brand new Notion template, and just go grab it.
Right.
But the issue is 99% of the time, you never implement it to the fullest. And then you end up with the inner guilt and self-doubt.
Hey friends, welcome to Right Off Track, your favorite entrepreneurial resource where we dive into the mindset, strategy, and purpose of entrepreneurs around the world who are sharing their real stories and insights with you. I believe that we all have a unique purpose in life, and that embracing our unique and special journey will help uncover that. If this helps you on your journey, I so welcome your support as we grow and improve this channel. Join us, subscribe. I promise you, I'm fully dedicated to making this work better every step of the way. So share your feedback, subscribe, share with a friend, and let's go on this adventure together right off track. Enjoy this episode.
Going off track is taking a chance on yourself.
Following your pulse of curiosity.
It's making your own decisions.
The most wonderful adventure.
Hey friends, I'm your host, Anya Smith. Get ready for some serious inspiration of today's guest, Roman Pikolenko, a master of making big leaps and crafting stories that sell. Welcome, Roman. I'm so excited to have you here.
What an intro. I don't think anyone has ever introduced me like that. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for saying yes. I'm very grateful also to Jane, who introduced us on LinkedIn. And I've just been seeing you grow, like the impact of a story on LinkedIn and helping others do the same. So can you share a little bit about your backstory before we dive in?
Yeah, so I'll share with you the draft for my updated origin story, which which is something I already shared before this episode, but it goes back to the time where, even before I came to Finland, which is where I'm based. As a kid, I just used to fight with my mom a lot. We would never see an eye to an eye on many topics, and I would always close off. Like I would always be lectured, and I will just sit there, stare into the blank abyss. And my mom herself is a hustler, which is something I realized only this year. I've realized that she's been working her ass off for her entire life, trying to provide for the family and also for me. I'm the only child, and also for me to have the better life. Eventually, she funded my studies abroad, so I came to Finland to do my bachelor's. And at some point when I was graduating, the pandemic hit. It was the very beginning. And I was in the middle of writing my thesis, and my degree was in international business. And it hit me that I have no idea what I'm going to be after graduation. To my grandma, I could have said, I'm going to be an international businessman, and there's that. It works just fine for her. But in the real world, there was no job with that title. And I started Googling like what kind of jobs, what kind of skills are in demand. And one of them was marketing. And marketing is something I kind of was curious about at the university. I only had a couple of courses there. And so I started looking at different resources on how to get into marketing. I came across a course, a very generous discount of a course. It was just about $30. And one of the modules inside was on Facebook ads. And that was my first ever entry into marketing. I struggled to find a proper employment in marketing for the next 2 years because pandemic. I'm with no experience whatsoever. I was doing unpaid, poorly paid gigs while working on the side at a restaurant, at a bar. Eventually landed my first ever marketing job, proper full-time growth marketer at a SaaS company. And I quit that job this March to just go solo. I grew frustrated with my job while also being surrounded by a lot of people that did freelancing or solopreneurship or own businesses. I was inspired by that, and stars aligned and the timing was right, so I quit and decided to do what I'm doing now, which is ghostwriting. That is my primary focus at the moment, but it's definitely not the only thing I'll ever be doing.
What I love about the story is that the sense of perseverance that you describe. Oftentimes on social, we just share, "Hey, things are great right now. I made all of this, and it was so easy now." But there's a long story often that's not being told, and the unglamorous part that is difficult to share for a variety of reasons. And what have you learned about yourself? Like, what kept you being resilient and kept you going through those time and years where you weren't necessarily seeing the success, but you were trying things out?
Well, there's definitely an aspect of curiosity and just willingness to grow. I simply at times didn't want to be like some people in my life, whether it's family, friends, or just someone I've met. I wanted to be better and have better life, which is a message I've inherited from my mom. And at other times, I just feel like I don't really have a choice. Because for someone like me, I'm an immigrant. I came to Finland. I've been here over 7 years. I'm not a citizen yet. I applied already, waiting for that. I don't really have a choice. I'm also a Russian immigrant. So, given the current situation, I need to choose what's best for me in terms of my well being and future. And so, there is a specific course of life, the path that I was put on, and I've been doing my best to fulfill the requirements to stay on that path ever since I stepped my foot in Finland. So in a way, I just feel like I don't always have a choice to just relax and give up and do whatever I want. There is definitely flexibility, definitely freedom in how I approach things, but it was laid out for me in a way, and I have to follow it until I at least become a citizen. That's kept me going.
Yeah. And I want you to also give yourself credit because as you say, I had to do this, but honestly, you could have chosen to do so many other things. You could have chosen to
True.
give up. There's a lot of choices that we make consciously or subconsciously. And tell me about the choice. You didn't decide to just go into big corporate and have a corporate job, which is usually the safe track, right after school. So how did you decide to go another route? And then maybe how did you even dive into LinkedIn as a whole, as a profession?
Well, again, I didn't get into corporate because I couldn't, simply speaking. I had my toe dipped into corporate a couple of times in the form of summer internships, but it never lasted longer than that. And those 2 years that I mentioned between my graduation and first proper employment, no one simply wanted to take me. I had less experience, less requirements. I wasn't the way that people wanted. And you know how recruitment processes in tech companies are. It's complicated. Expectations are all over the place. What not. The way I got my first job was purely by coincidence, but it was also a compound effect of me just trying things. I was recommended to a job. I landed second in one of the interviews for a different company, and the founder, who was also recruiting, he was so impressed with my application, he actually called me to inform that I was second. And that was a shock to me because he woke me up at like 10 a.m. in the morning. He called me saying, "Roman, am I disturbing you? Are you asleep?" I'm like, no. I'm completely awake. What's up?" And he gave me feedback and said he wanted to help me because he saw my potential. He recommended me to 5 companies.
Wow.
3 actually responded and 1 hired. That's how I got into the company that's not corporate. Corporate simply never worked out. The way I got into LinkedIn was at the same time as I got into that job. So when I started that job, my colleague introduced me to his friend, who is now my friend as well, Lina Lotta Lengraf, if you're listening. She introduced me to the whole LinkedIn thing, employer branding, personal branding. And I saw it as a sign, as something worth investing in. I wasn't planning to monetize it. I wasn't planning to freelance. I wasn't planning to do anything about it. I just had a feeling that if I invest my time in it, it will become some sort of safety net. It also came shortly after another failed interview before I got the job, where the founder told me that the best marketers that stand out are the ones that have something of their own. And I saw LinkedIn as something that could potentially be my own thing. And that's how I started.
Amazing. Amazing. It's interesting how some things that don't work for us in the moment, which could be upsetting, seem to work out for us in the end, right? The thing is, yeah.
I've noticed many times that if some things don't work out in a moment, eventually something else will work out, and you'll connect the dots eventually. That okay, that actually made sense. It's actually good that it didn't work out, because otherwise I won't be where I am now. It hurts in the moment, but you can only connect those dots way later.
I was gonna say, in the moment it sucks.
Yeah.
In the moment, remembering that past is helpful but challenging stuff. And so now you started LinkedIn, you had this curiosity, you had this advice, and you took it to action. Tell us, what was the journey of becoming a ghostwriter like? Like, what is a ghostwriter for those that are not familiar? What the heck do you do, and how do you make money? And how did you get started in that?
For those that don't know, ghostwriting is writing on behalf of people. So in my case, I ghostwrite in the name of some founders, my clients, consultants, whoever they are. So if you see a specific consultant on LinkedIn posting content, it's not them writing it, it's not them publishing it, it's not them strategizing, it's me. That's my job. I'm a more advanced version of copywriter, you could say, and I am for now niched purely for LinkedIn, and I'm expanding into emails. How I got into that? Well, let's roll back to my job, right? So I got the job. I got introduced to LinkedIn, and I started posting. And if I go back 2.5 years back, when that all happened, my posts were shameful. I was promoting events. I was sharing some strange observations, and it was not getting any traction. I started with 3 content pillars in mind, because I heard you need to have 3 content pillars. That was digital marketing, something I was good at, I think. Sustainability, something I was passionate about, and personal branding, something I wanted to learn. Sustainability went away first. No one seemed to click with that topic. And bear in mind, I sucked as a writer back then. Digital marketing got absorbed into personal branding. And so for that was maybe 3-4 months of experimentation. And then for the next 1.5 years, I was purely focusing on young marketers like myself to help them build their personal brands on LinkedIn. That was my entire branding. And before I quit my job and I decided to take freelancing more seriously, I started asking myself, well, what am I supposed to do if I freelance? I need to sustain myself, because just quitting with 0 is not only not smart, it's risky as hell. And again, bear in mind, I'm an immigrant. I can't just do wherever I want, and I can't rely on a local social support system. So I asked around my network. A bunch of them were ghostwriters, a bunch of them were people in personal branding, and I landed a couple of freelancing gigs that were not ghostwriting, and eventually build up my side hustle income to about 60 to 70% of my full-time salary. That's when I had the courage to quit. And that's when I quit and decided to double down on finding the actual ghostwriting clients. The reason I wanted to do ghostwriting is because I thought, I've been writing content for myself for almost 2 years. Why can't I do that for others? By that moment, I did 3 different LinkedIn group coaching cohorts for young people. I had multiple power hour sessions with people to help them on their strategy. So I had strategy covered in practice, and content writing covered for myself in practice as well. Connected the dots, realized that ghostwriting will be nice. And that's how it began. And I'm still a ghostwriter, maybe 8 months in.
Yes, and you're growing. Obviously, you're following, you're growing your client base, so things are going up. What surprised you on this ghostwriting journey? Like, what were some of the actionable things that you learned as you got into this space?
Many. One of the first things I realized is managing profiles of my clients. I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like it because it's very time consuming, and it's literally something you will have to spend a lot of time in. There are a lot of nuances when it comes to building your brand on LinkedIn. There are very specific cases where you don't need to do too much profile management, whether it's you or the client themselves. But those cases are rare. So the majority of people, they come with a very diluted and polluted network, I would say, in a way that they've been connecting with anyone and everyone for years and years. So just the fact that you need to clear it and audit it and establish connections and relationships with the right people takes so much time. At some point, I was managing 5 different accounts and my own. That was too much. And that's one of the first things I learned. I hate that.
Right. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I can list you like the entire mistake directory if you want, but maybe one other thing that's very important that I realized, and that's for anyone in freelancing world really. At some point, I had to stop focusing on client acquisition and focus more on client retention, because there is a lot of glorified talk out there about, oh, I got like 20 leads and 16 leads and like 60 leads every month. And every month they're still looking for clients. And to me, it's a sign that they cannot retain them, depending on the offer, of course. In my case, as a ghostwriter, if it's a ghostwriter constantly getting leads and they constantly look for clients, they can't retain them. And if you can't retain them, what's the point of doing it? So that was my second biggest learning. That's what I'm focusing on now. I'm literally gonna write Christmas cards for my clients and send them. If you're listening to it, you didn't hear it from me.
Close your ears. Close your ears.
Yeah, close your ears. One of them is in the UK, one of them is in the US, one of them is in Portugal. I have no idea how I'm gonna deliver it, but I'm just gonna ship it off and hopefully it comes by Christmas.
It will. I love it. Okay. What I love about you sharing those is that self-reflection piece. And oftentimes what we see people doing, we don't know the struggles that they're going through and the challenges and the self-reflection that they're having. So it's very powerful, I think, to discuss this so others see that this is happening for everyone, that there are challenges that they're facing on their journey. That's normal. And you mentioned a couple of things that you're doing differently. What are you looking to pivot now that you've known, you know what you know some of the drawbacks? What are you focusing now on to maybe change some of those or kind of serve you better?
My Number one priority is to retain my current customers, to make them happy and secure contracts that are long term. One of my clients is happy to continue for another 6 months. The other two are a work in progress because they're at the very different stages of development and working with me. But essentially, number one priority is for me to have a stable ghostwriting income. I do not aim to have more than 3 clients simply because the quality gets diluted. After that, I really want to establish myself as someone with an actually unique voice. The way I want to do that is through storytelling and emails, because I feel like emails are the natural next step in terms of content. And the whole point of doing all these things is for me to build the foundation, excuse me, to eventually help the impact leaders in climate and social impact spaces to do what I'm doing either for myself or other clients, which is bridge the gap between their brands and their target audience. Yes, that is my end goal because the current state of climate sucks. And a lot of climate founders are focusing on the wrong things, I find, because quite often, at least those that I met, there are a lot of them trying to do things that I'm trying to help with, but a lot of them are hung up in fundraising and chasing investors and just doing things in a way that hurts their brand from the very beginning, while oil giants are pumping millions into influencer campaigns that make them seem more empathetic or whatever. It's an uphill battle, and they're fighting for crumbs. They're not using the most powerful thing, which is their brand combined with social media.
How would you help them, or what advice would you have for somebody in that space to help with their brand?
Find the person who is most impactful in your organization, which is a founder, co-founder, CEO, and use their voice. Use their voice on social media. Share the journey of why did your startup or company come to existence? What's the problem you are trying to solve? What problems did you face? What mistakes did you make? Engage your audience before you start engaging the investors, because there are so many wonderful startups out there. I'm going to a conference in less than 2 weeks called Slush, and there are so many climate, environmental, biotech, clean tech startups. I've never heard of them. But their tech is promising. It's potentially revolutionary and world changing. But I don't know anything about their company. I don't know anything about who's behind building it. I don't know anything about their teams, anything about their mission. All I hear, or all I'm gonna hear when I go to the conference, is them trying to please the investors, which is important, but it shouldn't be the only thing. And I understand that founders are very busy and they don't have time quite often on communication and content, but that's exactly when you invest in external help. I firmly believe that brand should be someone you hire for before you hire a CTO or a CFO. If anything, you should have CFO, founder, chief branding officer, and then the rest.
Right, because the story you tell attracts everybody else, right? And so it gives your perception
Exactly.
out into the world. And speaking of strategy and challenges, what are the common biggest challenges that your clients face when they come to you?
The most basic ones are lack of time and lack of resources in terms of what to write, how to write it, lack of understanding of how LinkedIn works. Quite many people still, would repost company page posts or will share random articles and write very chunky posts with like 30 hashtags. People just don't know what's the best way to use the platform. Besides that, the major problems that I help people with is establishing themselves as authority through storytelling, making their audience and potential clients care about them. And one of the best examples I have is one of the most random industries I've ever met. Maybe that's why she's succeeding so well. She had a comment from, so we've been posting on her profile, and she had a comment from a wife of her husband's friend. They've never met, but that wife has been reading her posts, which I've been writing, and said that she's invested in her story and she wants her to win and succeed, and she's like rooting for her. Bear in
Wow.
mind, they never met. It's like a third, fourth hand person, and they probably never will meet. But the thing that connects them is content. And I think that's beautiful. And I think anyone with the right approach can achieve that if they know what they're doing, or hire someone who does.
So storytelling is at the root of this. How can storytelling be powerful in this space of building your brand, and maybe top couple of pieces of advice for people who want to be better about using their stories in this way?
That's a good question. There are a lot of ways to make a story powerful. The number one thing that jumps to my mind is make it relatable. And then, the logical question is, how do you make it relatable? It all starts with the main character, which is often, in everyone's case, is themselves. Where you are right now, or where were you, for example, when you before you founded your company, and find conflict, whether it's a villain or a problem you were trying to solve, or just a set of challenges that you had to overcome. What's the conflict? And don't paint it like it's a superhero movie, because you're not trying to relate to superheroes. You're trying to relate to people like you or your target audience, who are just regular people. And be honest about it, be transparent about it, because I know a lot of founders are afraid of sharing the vulnerable side of themselves, and I completely understand it. But there is a fine line between too vulnerable and vulnerable for relatability. You don't have to share your childhood trauma, but sharing mistakes you've had on your journey as a founder, or maybe you were a freelancer before, or maybe you were struggling in your corporate job before, and you tried a specific thing that will make you money because you saw an ad and it promised you to quit your job and make like 10K a month, and you really wanted to quit that job because you're so overworked, you want to feed your family, and you're so stressed, and you tried it and it failed. Tell that story, because I bet you there are millions of people that tried the same. That's how you would make it relatable. And when it comes to an ending, happy ending, of course, is nice, but the ending that is actionable is always best. And if there is a lesson that can be taken out of it, that's the most beautiful thing. So the ending can be an open loop, leave them hanging, but still have a message, or make it actionable, as in, here is what, like, if it's a mistake story, make sure that the end of the story is something like, don't make the same mistake as I did. But the main point here is, whatever your story is, have a main message.
Very, very good advice. One thing I didn't realize when I started using LinkedIn as a content creator versus just a consumer for a job application is just how powerful storytelling is. We all know about storytelling. We get stories all the time since we're kids, but we often don't think about how the craft of being able to tell a story impacts our ability to influence and share information in a memorable way. So I'm uncovering this power for myself more and more. And I transparently struggled starting to write on LinkedIn because I felt like I had to do it a certain way. Not even just the storytelling and getting better about that, but I thought that, well, I have to post daily. Start from zero, go to daily. It has to be at a certain time because you want to build that. And I realized slowly this was draining me and that I have to do it a different way. And so I learned that for me, I don't post daily. I have a cadence in a certain format. And yes, it's still improving. It's not perfect, but I'm constantly getting better and I'm trying to tell my story in a better way. What I did find that by just getting into a cadence, every time gets a little bit easier. You're not overthinking that one post. Yes, you want to make it good, but you're not like, what if this one doesn't work? My life's going to end. What are people going to think? Like, okay, post. Okay, move on to the next one. So for you, as you're on this journey, kind of figuring out your own flow, how have you learned to get better at storytelling?
Practice,
Mm.
as with anything, because storytelling is writing, at least in my case. You only get better the more you practice.
Mm.
If you talk about writing, you can't get better at it by reading about how to write. You have to
Right.
actually write.
Yeah.
If your storytelling format is videos, you're not gonna get better at it by watching TikTok tutorials on how to shoot it with your beautiful iPhone camera. You need to actually shoot it on your iPhone camera and then publish it. Because again, if it's in your drafts, it will always bring you 0 impressions and likes and comments. So it's practice, really. There is no secret formula there.
Absolutely. And then when we were talking about what you want to cover, you also mentioned something called the shiny object syndrome. Do you want to touch on what that is and what's your beef with it?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest struggles I've ever faced. And the shiny object syndrome is basically me wanting, or actually trying, a bunch of different things all the time, but without finishing the previous thing.
Oh, yeah.
In my case, that has happened in major ways at least twice. First, somewhere in maybe second, third month of my freelancing, I was feeling overwhelmed, and I wake up and I log into my LinkedIn. It's 10 a.m., my regular routine, and I start engaging and I scroll through my feed. I engage with all the creators on my engagement list before my post comes out, and I realize that it's just so damn draining and discouraging, and I start wondering, why is it? I crack on, I publish my post, I continue engaging, close my laptop, go about my day. Same thing. Next day, day after, week after. It went on for quite a few months, and I realized that that has been lingering for ages. And what was the issue is that I keep reading the content from all the wonderful, smart people on LinkedIn, and I keep saving a bunch of different posts on a strategy or a template or a new framework and yada, yada, yada. And they're all great. I save them. I don't follow up on half of them. They're just saved. I never touch them. I start the other half and I never finish them. And I end up feeling like I'm a failure or I'm not doing enough or I should be doing something, but I'm not sure what. And it's just out there. I try to do too much. The second time it happened to me, and that is something I'm catching up on right now, is I've been impulsively buying coaching programs. I'm in 3 right now. One on ghostwriting, one on making offers, and one on sales. And I got one after another, not all 3 at the same time, otherwise I'll be very broke. But once I got the third one, I also realized, well, shoot, I haven't finished the first one. I didn't absorb all the 100% of knowledge from that one. And then there is an even more expensive one that I started after that. And I'm not pushing that offer that really taught me how to craft and master. And now I'm in this third one, and it was supposed to help me patch it all together and make it all amazing, but it's just not coming. And I fell apart again. And that's why I call it the shiny object syndrome, because you see a shiny strategy, a brand new course, a brand new ebook, or a brand new Notion template, and just go grab it. You want it because the person that promoted it is really good at what they do.
Right.
But the issue is 99% of the time, you never implement it to the fullest. And then you end up with the inner guilt and self-doubt because you're not doing enough or you're not doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And I'm a recovering shiny object syndrome addict. Yeah. And at the moment, I just have to be strict with myself. I don't take on any courses unless they help me directly with my goal. And even then, I just follow through things. I make time with finishing every course, and after each module, I make action points and I put it in my task management and actually try and fulfill it. It's not perfect. I haven't finished all of it because it's quite a lot. Otherwise, I would be super smart. But the action the action part is what is missing every time there is a shiny object syndrome, is, really scratching down my back.
I can so relate to that. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that's a very important topic that a lot of us can have. And the intention is good. The intention is to grow and get better and to challenge yourself. But to your point, we need to have space. We need to have a reflection space to action it. I've realized for myself that I want to help a lot of people, and I'm like, oh, I can help you, and I help you. And then I get to a place where I'm overcommitted and I feel drained. And what I realized, one thing I've been doing recently is this practice of reflecting as my best self, what habits would I have? And then the habits that are serving me, not serving me from being my best self. And one of the habits I imagine being my best self is saying no to 99% of things.
Yeah.
And so being very clear about what is not serving me right now, and then having those tough discussions. And the other part I'm learning that is trusting my gut. Trusting my gut, like, this is interesting, but this is not really the right time. Or this is not really my prime intention. And reminding myself that if I have more than, two right now, core focuses, maybe ideally probably one, then I'm not serving any of them better. And that's the truth that I have to have. And it's easier for said than done a lot of times, right? There's practicality, there's money involved and all that. But I'm honoring the space that if I do too much, I'm not showing up best for myself, for the intentions that I have, and just having this gut, like, what is the right priority for me? Because I realize a lot of things I'm doing are out of fear. I'm doing a lot because I have a fear that I need to do this all to get a certain kind of income and stability, but I'm not showing up best for myself. So I can really relate to that. And for me, it's discovering what's pushing me that's not serving me. And a lot of time it's fear out of protection. It's not because fear is trying to hurt me. It's just fear like trying to protect me to be safe while not doing that effectively.
That is such a great topic as well. Just, that fear, also FOMO over trying to keep up with the standards. Tell me a little bit about it. Like, do you ever feel FOMO, like you're missing out on a brand new thing or something you could do better with a podcast, for example, but you're not doing it right now because limits?
Yes, I have to check myself. So I'm doing this at the corner of my bedroom, right, with a certain kind of income going into it. And so there's always things like, oh, I could be doing it better. If only I had more money. If only I had this, then I would be doing it differently. Or, if I wasn't a mom of 3 kids running around, I'd be doing it differently. And then I have to check myself and say, well, and what can I do now though? Right? Like, what can I do that's the best for me right now of what I can accomplish? Because we all can make excuses about why it's not perfect right now, or it could be more, but there's now a separation of making what can I do right now to make it, and what's the highest priority of all the things you could be doing? Because a lot of times I find that also I have this priority task and I don't tackle the high priority thing. I'm like, well, there's 3 other things I could kind of tackle. So I'm going to do them first. And then it's the end of the day and you don't get to the really important thing. So I think for me, FOMO, I combat FOMO with a reflection of what's actually important. And then am I actually creating space for that and actioning on the high priority thing versus creating 3 million less important things that I'm putting up into my day? And so that's helping me. And then just a reflection of like what's serving me and what's not serving me. How do
I've
I
become a productivity junkie. So I'm trying to absorb all kinds of wisdom on productivity and time management to exactly avoid a trap like you are in sometimes and I am in my own form. And it's tough, I gotta say, because it never goes away. And even if it does, it comes back in some new, stronger form. It's like germs that keep on getting better.
Ron, what's interesting for me is that I've gotten better by doing less and creating space for reflection. So I was always somebody that's like, do. And then I realized like the importance of just stopping and just like honoring that space. Like, what do I actually need to do?
That is so relatable because literally today I went on a walk and I felt like, and that's a bit related to what I told you right before the podcast. Like I've been struggling a little bit on the mental side recently, and I've started questioning whether I am slightly depressed because I've noticed that I'm a bit negative on things. I don't see the positivity. I know there are a lot of exciting things that are coming, and I'm walking and I'm thinking, am I depressed? And it reminded me of this phrase from Wim Hof, the Iceman, that once said, if you feel depressed, all you need is deep rest. You need to rest. And immediately I thought, how can I do that? How can I achieve that? And for me, because I'm so much into social media, it's my livelihood. My immediate thought was, well, I need to quit social for like a month. Just stop. Focus on my client work, focus on my reflections. I'm not good at it. I just started journaling because things have gotten too much on the back end, to be honest. And I need a way to reflect. I got into stoicism. I'm trying to get to implement a lot of things from there, and that just break is something I potentially really need. And that's the part of freelancing and entrepreneurship that is discussed, but maybe not as much in that lens, because every single peer of mine that I'm talking to, everyone is going through it the same way. Everyone is smashing it. Everyone is slaying with a client work and they're building things. But on the back end, it's like it comes in waves, There is a period when you're struggling with clients, but everything else is great because you have this one goal. You need to get more clients. And you get clients and you're struggling to retain them. And then everything else is great, but all of a sudden your mental side takes a hit. And it's like, yeah.
Ramon, what recently changed for me is I went to this coaching session, of course, and it was about energy work, which is something I was interested in, but kind of the interest slowed down. But this was just a random recovery of it. And one thing she said, the coach, Camila, is that the energy that you have when you achieve a goal is the same energy you're going to have after you achieve it. And that really shook me because I was somebody who constantly was like, go, 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 hustle, 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 make it happen, get to the goal. And if I never felt at peace, because like, why am I always stressed? Why is this for years not going away? And I realized it's because the energy I put into it is always of the grind. And that was for me a wake-up call. Like, I don't want to grind anymore. Like, I don't want to be miserable working for this anymore. And there has to be another way. So that's what's keeping me in check right now, is this recollection, like the energy I'm putting into my work is going to be the energy that I have when I achieve something.
I like that. I like that a lot. And you also mentioned doing less. That is something I want to end this year on. Just instead of having, the basic New Year's resolutions, mine will be in the form of what could I have done less of this year that I can eliminate or do less in 2024. Because it's an issue on every level of society, in my opinion. We chase more things. We always want more growth, more things, more bigger apartments, more cars, more money. It's like and the prefix is always more. But quite often we need to cut down because a lot of those things, without you realizing, eventually start dragging you. And when they drag you for too long, you start doubting yourself. You start having guilt. You start having mental struggles. And it's just so interconnected. There is a reason when they say, people back in the day, maybe we're not the happiest because a plague comes and everyone dies. They didn't have medicine, but they lived simpler life and they felt more fulfilled with it. They just had less.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing this conversation. I do journaling every day. It's nothing that I used to do in the past, but recently I just find it really helpful. Again, the reflection of what's not serving me, like what are my thoughts, habits, and emotions that are not serving my best self, and what would I have in terms of thoughts, habits, and emotions if as my best self right now. Like that reflection is very powerful for me. I do that daily journaling right now. It's been really profound, to be transparent. But I support you anywhere you are in your path. Like, again, you showing up so vulnerably here, you sharing your full story and the challenge you have, I think a lot of people can relate to. And then also giving us practical advice on, the career side of things and how to make work. To your point about less is more, I completely agree with that. We need to refill ourselves. Like, we need to have this compassion for ourselves to say, we show up and live better, fuller lives when we restore ourselves and create space for that and reflection for that. And so everything is possible as long as we create this cycle where our success is measured by how much we actually also put into ourselves. Not just, performance wise, but just like as like deep human energy.
And there is one tip I could give to whoever's listening to us and is saying, "Oh yeah, I feel that. I'm going through that." That's something I haven't used in a while, but I just remember that I have it. Create a love folder. Just screenshot every nice message a stranger or a friend sent you, congratulating you on something, or complimenting you on your work, or just messaging you saying, "Hey, I love what you do. Keep going." Um, I don't know how many of those messages you have, but I know you do have some.
Yeah.
Save them in one place, go back to them, read them. I know they make you smile.
Yeah.
Look at them, read them whenever you feel the lowest.
Yeah.
I honestly feel that is also a benefit of just being out there, like you and I, building our presence online. I would never imagine strangers on the internet would message me out of the blue because I haven't posted in a week or two, asking, "Roman, is everything okay?
Oh,
Are you sick? Where are you?"
oh,
And it's just so nice because I haven't done anything significant for them. Probably shared useful tips, but I guess sharing my journey and just being present there, it helps. So
yeah,
it's a form of therapy for me, I think.
absolutely. Great advice. And I want to remind everybody that when we show up in the world and do our best and try to do something meaningful and help others, that creates a ripple effect for others. Other people notice. Other people have an example that they could possibly do something more, or like give them other options how to show up in the world. So thank you for doing that. And Roman, can we also explore like the resources that you have for people? So how can people work with you? What resources do you have available for them?
Well, currently the best single resource that I have is my email course on storytelling. It's more of a playbook for founders, how to win on LinkedIn using storytelling. So it's not just on storytelling, it's on, so if you're struggling to identify your target audience, what stories you need to tell, how to actually write them. I have framework there and some additional resources. How to engage on LinkedIn so you don't have to spend like 2 hours a day commenting 200 times a day, like some LinkedIn growth experts, quote unquote, will recommend. And how to plan your content in advance, because a lot of people think they don't have ideas, and once they write 2 or 3 stories, they're done. You're not. So I give some recommendations there. It's completely free. It's a 5-day email course. You just sign up and you get emails coming to your inbox every single day. Besides that, my own content I publish, or try to, 5 times a week, Monday to Friday, currently at 3 p.m. Helsinki time, but that can change. And if you follow my content, then you'll also bump into a bunch of other free resources, which I'm now pumping up. It's Notion based, anything from storytelling prompts to how to overcome the story paralysis, which is when you don't know what stories to tell or you have that fear. I'm working on those. I'm working on an extra email course. And then, of course, if you want to work directly with me, I have a bunch of services, ghostwriting being the primary one.
And it's very exclusive. As Roman mentioned, he only works with a couple of people. So if you really want the
Yes.
help and want expert help, reach out with a pitch for Roman.
I'll tell you what, reach out anyways, and I'll find you the best way I can help. And if I'm not available, I know people that I will recommend that will be a good fit. At this point, I've seen a lot of different accounts, and I don't know everything. Of course, there's always more to learn. But I know some patterns. I know why perhaps just content will not help you. Maybe your issue is actually half of your network, or your offer sucks. You need to work on that before investing into any other help, or just no time commitment to it if you want to do it yourself. Many different factors. Just reach out, and I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Yeah, if you're listening, you can tell that Ramon has a big heart and is very transparent and authentic. So you know that if you reach out, you're going to get some real advice right there, real support. So welcome to do that. I'll share the link here. And here, Ramon, we do 3 rapid fire questions to wrap up. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. Yes, shoot them my way.
Okay. Let's see. What's your go-to strategy when you hit a creative block?
Get off LinkedIn, get off writing, get up and leave. Just take a break. Go for a walk. My guilty pleasure is playing video games. If there is a significant block, I just push it to the next day. And one other thing that might help you and sometimes helps me is I take a break. I just get up and do my thing, and I get back to it, and I set a timer for 30 minutes. I just try to close my eyes, visualize myself just doing this task, for example, writing the next 10 posts for my clients. And I create space where this is the only thing that I'm focused on. So first I visualize it, but also I just close all the relevant tabs. I put everything on do not disturb, throw my phone away into the other room, just open the relevant tabs and tell myself, this is what I focus on. And for 30 minutes, I do my best. If after 30 minutes, nothing's working out, forget it, move it to next day. It's not urgent. But if you notice that you're still going after 30 minutes, just finish the thing.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Sound advice, creating that space already. Okay, second question. What's one piece of advice you wish you received when you were just starting out?
The shiny object syndrome. Watch out for that. The advice I would have given myself is just complete things that you start. You would have progressed much faster. But at the same time, also, I think where I am now is a significant enough progress compared to many other people, comparatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So on the other hand, if I didn't make those mistakes, I wouldn't be where I am now. But yeah, definitely shiny object syndrome. Watch out for that.
And again, replay this video if you need that reminder of the dangers of it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, in the positive context, going off track is?
You caught me off guard there. What do you mean?
So, I mean, our podcast is called Right Off Track. And so we're supporting the notion that having your unique path is good. So in your sense, what does, in the positive sense, that going off track mean?
Oh, I've been thinking about a passion project of mine.
Yeah.
For a few days. And it's inspired by Yes Theory, if you're familiar. It's a YouTube channel of guys that their motto is seek discomfort and just explore different parts of the world, meet different people. And I'm thinking the right of track for me will be a YouTube direction, for the reason of self-reflection, challenges perhaps. I was thinking, if I'm doing in the context of writing, I just lock myself in the bedroom for like entire morning for like 6 hours, and I just comment for all 6 hours, because that's what gurus tell you, right? So I just record myself and then report back, or I lock myself in a room for 2 days, and then my sole task without the internet connection is just to write as much content as possible. How much can I write?
Yeah.
Things like that. But also, it's a form of discomfort for me, and I know that the growth lies beyond the comfort zone. I hate videos. I feel enraged every time I have to edit a video. It's so annoying, especially if there is a soundtrack and it just keeps replaying because you keep editing this one little bit.
Yeah.
I don't like it. So that will be a challenge. But yeah, right off track will go towards YouTube.
I'm going to root you for that, Roman. You said it. Now it's in reality. Now it's in the universe. It should happen. I will be rooting you along the way and sharing all the tips. So once that happens, definitely I will let all of you know. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for investing your time to listen to us, to invest in yourself. As you hear, growth is hard, but it's worth it. Incredible things happen
100%.
along the journey, and you learn so much about yourself. And I just want to create a quick plug for a nonprofit that I'm supporting called Ready to Empower. They have been around for 10 years now, celebrating that big event this year, and they are fundraising $50,000 by December 8th. So if you have $1, $5, whatever, you just want to support a good cause because you feel inspired about making a difference in the world, I would so appreciate it. The link is in the description. And Roman, any final words for our listeners?
Take charge of your life. in whatever form that comes, whether it's just taking charge of your finances, choices you make regarding your emotional responses to things, or what you want to do in life. Even if it's not possible to do the thing you really want to do and feel free doing at the moment, ask yourself, what can you start doing today to get where you want? Because it's a big goal and it's scary, and the only way to get there is to break it down into smaller ones. Baby steps, one time every day, single time a day. I don't know. I don't English anymore. It's been a long day. You know what I mean.
I just believe it. Make it happen. Have small steps. Wrap it up. And
Yeah.
there will be challenges, but you can get through it, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And as always, I want to remind everybody that we should take over the world together. And thank you so much for coming off track with us. Until next time, take care.
Thank you.